Hi everyone, and welcome to this three-part series of how to put all the learning that you've been doing over the last few weeks or months or years around your dyslexia, how to put it into the bigger picture context, and I'll explain more about this in a minute. But I'm feeling really energized. I've just had a wonderful email from a fantastic guy who has shared with me how he's experiencing dyslexia, and really saying that he's not achieving his full potential because his dyslexia has held him back. So that's energized me, it's motivated me to making these three videos, and I'm really looking forward to make them. And what we're going to do is to have a look at creating an ideal day. And this is something that I've been doing now for a very long time. I came across Dr. Raj Persaud. I'm not sure if you know him. I came across his book many years ago, I think perhaps in 2005, I think, and it's a book called The Motivated Mind. And I think Dr. Raj Persaud is a good guy. If you remember, he used to be on Richard and Judy, I think, on the UK television, and I'm sure if you do a Google search you can find some videos or some information about Dr. Raj Persaud. And like all the books I read, and I've mentioned on other videos before, that I take, I don't take everything that I read, to be the truth. I'm critical of what I'm reading, and certainly when I read a lot of Dr. Raj Persaud's work, I was very critical of some of the things that he said, and didn't agree with many things. But there was one thing in his book, The Motivated Mind, that just jumped out at me, and I applied it to myself, and it really changed my life. It was an amazing experience, and it really did change my life. It turned my life around and brought it into a completely different direction, and I'll explain that a little bit more in a second. I'm going to tell you quickly that we're going to create three videos now. The first video now is just to introduce you to this whole concept of the ideal day, and to tell you why it's important within a dyslexia context to focus on spending the time to create an ideal day. So I'm going to talk about that. And I think really the motivation, I've been inspired by the email that I received, and wonderful to, I love all the emails that you guys send me, and they all inspire me. But this one has really inspired me to look at the bigger context, the bigger picture. Why are we spending all this effort and all this time understanding our dyslexia and overcoming our dyslexia? And that's very important. I work with so many people from all around the world who have had a lot of missed opportunities because the dyslexia has held them back. So that could be missed opportunities within their careers, or they feel like they haven't achieved their full potential, and that the dyslexia has really held them back. And a lot of people really wonder what they could have been in life if it hadn't been for this huge thing that they'd experienced, their dyslexia, and that they weren't able to get the qualifications that they really knew they could have got. They had the potential to get them, but just couldn't get their ideas and thoughts down on the paper, or didn't have the confidence to do that. Maybe couldn't go for the jobs that they wanted because of not being able to fill in the application forms, and not having confidence, maybe to go for those jobs that they perhaps thought they'd be asked to do written work or have to read out something in front of people. So lots of people that I work with have really had lots of negative experience around not fulfilling their true potential. And I think that's really important, that as soon as you start to understand your dyslexia and you start to overcome it, that we need a bigger picture. We need to reinvent ourselves. So we're reinventing our dyslexia selves, but then we need to reinvent the bigger picture of ourselves, so that we give ourselves some direction, I suppose. And I think direction is a good word. We give ourselves some direction. The dyslexia is just one small piece of the equation. It's just a small piece of the jigsaw puzzle, really. And the jigsaw puzzle of life is a very big one, a very complex one. And the dyslexia jigsaw piece, jigsaw puzzle piece, is one that has had an effect on. It's distorted all the other pieces, really, in the bigger picture of our lives. So you grow up thinking perhaps that you're not intelligent, or that you're incapable of doing something, or you're inferior to your peers, and maybe you're being told that you're never going to amass to anything. I certainly was. I remember being at school, and what English teacher, Mr. Herman, ever such a nice fella. I'm sure he's retired now because I'm 47 years old, and he told me that I'd never amassed to anything when I think I was 14 or 15, and at the time I believed him. And I think the remark that he made was probably justified at the time, because I was just messing about in the class. I'd given up on trying to learn after the childhood experience that I'd had of being stood in the corner wearing a dunce's cap for the dunce's cone for 3 days, because I was unable to grasp the TH, SH and CH. So the teacher, in her infinite wisdom, decided to stand me in the corner, and every time I couldn't grasp the T, H, CH and SH, she would put me back in the corner. And in the end, I spent the best part of 3 days standing in the corner, and it really left an emotional scar on me. I was unable to talk about it until I was about 38 without getting tears in my eyes. So by the time Mr. Herman told me that I'd amassed to nothing, I think probably at the time, he was probably right. If I hadn't later on in life explored my dyslexia and overcome my dyslexia, then I think really I wasn't heading for much success. And so we may have all of these negative thoughts and negative feelings about ourselves, and really stopping ourselves from achieving in many, many areas of our lives. So what we have to do is to address the dyslexia, and that's an ongoing thing. And I hope that the videos that you receive on this membership site are useful and are giving you lots of tips and lots of exercises and lots of direction in terms of understanding your dyslexia at a much higher level, and also to overcome your dyslexia so that you can break free from all of the difficulties that you may be experiencing at the moment. And so when that happens and you've freed yourself from your dyslexia, or that you're on your way to freeing yourself from your dyslexia, then you start realizing that you really haven't achieved your full potential. And that's really what the email that I've just received recently is about. The person, wonderful person, who really thinks that they haven't achieved a lot. They have achieved many, many things, and it's very evident from their email that they're a very success-oriented person and have achieved so many things in their lives, but that they still feel that they've got so much more within themselves that they could really achieve, to a higher level. So that's, as I said, giving me the inspiration. And so what I'd like to do now is perhaps say goodbye in this video. I hope it's giving you a little bit of a feel for what's to come in the next video, which is creating an ideal day. And just before I finish, I'll tell you quickly what the ideal day concept is, so I can leave you with that thought until you click on the next video, and that will be video 2, where I share my ideal day that I created in 2005. And then I'm going to explain in video 2 how you can then set about creating your own ideal day. And then in video 3, I'm going to share with you how you can start to use that ideal day that you've created for yourself and start to put it into goals and to action points, so that you can start to really achieve your true potential, your full potential. So that's great. As you can see, I'm all fired up, I'm all excited. Oh yes, I'm going to tell you quickly about Dr. Raj Prasad, and he said that what he says is that with the clients that he sees, that he asked them to do this ideal day. He basically asked them to imagine that they've rubbed a lantern and that a genie's popped out, and has given them permission to, he calls it a perfect day, given them permission to create a perfect day, so that it is perfect in every single aspect, from the minute they wake up in the morning to the minute they go back to bed on the night. And it really is fascinating, the sort of ideal day that people will create once they've been, once that suggestion's been made to them. And I'll cover, that in the next video. So, and then the reason for creating this ideal day is so that we can start to identify goal conflict within the way we live our life at the moment. So if we live in our life in a way that doesn't match up to that ideal day, which is our, I suppose, our view of our ideal self, really, you know, the person that we'd love to be and how we'd really love to live our life. And yeah, we can start to identify goal conflict, and if our life's going off in that direction and our ideal life is in the opposite direction, that we can start changing what we're doing with our lives and start heading in the direction that will ultimately bring about the day of your dreams, and not just the day obviously, but the life of your dreams. And then if you live in the life of your dreams, you're hitting all of your potential and hitting all of the things that you'd like to achieve in life, and you have a much more rewarding and much more fulfilling life. So that's for the purpose of these videos. I hope this is giving you the motivation and inspired you a little bit to watch the second video and listen to my ideal story, which I'm going to share with you, and it'll be a pleasure to share it with you. See you in the next video, guys. Bye for now. Bye.